Hi, everyone. The Business Ethics Leadership Alliance has questions and we have answers. I'm your host, Bill Coffin, and this is another BELA Asks episode of the Ethicast. One of the best benefits of being a member of the Business Ethics Leadership Alliance, or BELA, is that if you have any questions at all about ethics and compliance, you can submit them to BELA's concierge service, which will connect you with one of our internal experts who will provide an answer and/or direct you to a helpful resource for more information. Sometimes these requests are specific to a particular company's needs, but most of them speak to broad challenges facing BELA members in general, and by extension, the wider ethics and compliance profession. That's why we're using this show to thematically respond to high level questions from the BELA community. Joining us once again to give those responses is BELA Chair Erica Salmon Byrne. Erica, thanks for returning to the show. As always, it's great to see you.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for having me back. I am delighted to keep coming back and answering these questions for as long as our community has them.
Since this episode is part of a series on third parties, our next question is, what is the most important question to ask when creating a third party due diligence questionnaire?
Yeah. So first off, some of my answers are going to reference the first piece in this series. So if you are coming to the series midway through, hit pause, go back, watch the first one that Bill and I did, and then come back to this, okay? So the most important question to ask is, first off, where do I fit in the process, right? Because you may be just one department at your company that is thinking about supplier due diligence. You may be, one of 12. You might be one of 15. Depends on how big your organization is and what this particular supplier might be doing. So think of where you fit in the process, and then think of how you can make it as streamlined as possible to make sure you're getting the information you need. So before you set pen to paper on a questionnaire, the first thing you need to think through is, okay, who's in charge of hiring this supplier? What do I know about that particular part of my business? How much faith can I have in the answers that my internal business partners are giving me compared to what I'm going to get from this particular supplier? Do I have a process to get information from my internal business partners, right? The best processes we see, and this is something that we see a lot of companies doing, is it's a bifurcated process. There's information you're going to get from your internal business partner. Why do you want to use this third party? What are they going to do for you? Where are they going to do it? How did you find them? Those kinds of things. And then you'll obviously ask questions about your supply chain partner, or of your supply chain partner as well, rather. So understanding where you fit in the process is the first piece. Making sure that you are setting in place a process that both your internal business partner and the supplier can follow. One of the things that we always look at when we're thinking about that, like ease of following it piece, is we look at the way in which a company engages with their third parties. So one of the things, for example, that we saw in this year's World's Most Ethical Companies honoree class that I wanted to share with the group here is thinking about supplier diversity and using as a proxy for supplier diversity the extent to which a company has translated their supplier code of conduct, right? So first, do you have one? And secondly, have you made it easy for your suppliers around the world to read it? So I'm going to look over my screen here again because I'm giving live data here, Bill. But 35% of this year's World's Most Ethical Companies honorees translate their code of conduct, their third-party code, for all third parties, right? All the languages their third parties might speak. 35% of them translate it into at least some of the languages that their third parties might speak. So that's 70% of the honoree class do some level of translating. That's a proxy indicator of how seriously they take their responsibility to communicate effectively with their third parties around the globe. And it is a piece of the puzzle to think about of what goes into that third party process, that diligence process, right? What kinds of questions do I want to be asking? Well, one of the first ones is, what do you need to know to be able to do business by my rules? How capable are you of doing business by my rules? Do you have the processes in place that your people can even understand what it is that I need you to do and how it is that I need you to do it? Do you have training, right? Do you have your own policies? What subcontractors might you use on this product or project rather? Is anything going downstream from the relationship I have with you to somebody else that could potentially get me in trouble? So really understanding the capability of the supplier to do business the way that you need them to do business when they are acting on your behalf, understanding that capability, and then look, if that capability is not where you want it, doesn't mean you can't enter into the relationship. It just means you have to mitigate, right? You have to make your own tools and resources available to that particular third party to make sure that they're able to really do business the way that you need them to do business.
Do you mind if I ask you a follow-up question?
Never.
So this is more of a qualitative question, really. It's not really something I think would be borne out by Worlds with Ethical Companies data, but given your extensive experience and the breadth of your travels, I'm kind of curious to know. We talk about what are important questions to include in a third-party due diligence questionnaire. Have you ever come across questions that maybe companies are including in these questionnaires as more of a matter of longstanding orthodoxy? That this is a question we've always asked, and over time, the value of that question is perhaps diminished, and there might be better ways to get at that question, or maybe that question just is just due to be retired.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good question, Bill. And it goes back a little bit to this idea of figuring out where you fit in the process. Generally speaking, what I am seeing is I see questionnaires that in and of themselves, within the four corners of that particular questionnaire, the questions are good, right? The questions are solid. So I'm not necessarily seeing questions that on their own basis need to be retired. What I am seeing is different departments in the business getting the same piece of information in slightly different ways in a very repetitive fashion that puts an enormous burden on your supplier, right? So
Yeah.
I very strongly encourage anybody who's listening to this to think through what they are asking of their partners. And if you really think of them as partners, how can you make it as easy as possible for them to give you the information you need in a fast fashion, in an efficient fashion, in a way that advances the relationship as a partnership, as opposed to, okay, here comes another questionnaire. Let me jump through this hoop. Oh, look, here's another one. I'm going to jump through this hoop. Oh, wow, here's a fifth and an eighth and a 12th. And didn't I answer that question already? And what do you mean I need another form, right? Those are the companies that get that really poison the beginning of the relationship by forcing their suppliers to go through that, or an ongoing relationship, because good due diligence should be something that you're refreshing, right? So if you've got a relationship, with a company that's 10, 12, 15 years old, and you're just continuously making them jump through these hoops, fill out the same forms, in the same way, there's no opportunity to be like, wait a second, this doesn't apply to us. The more rigid you make your process, the more challenging you make it for people to do business with you.
Well, Erica, your actionable intelligence on these matters is second to none. So really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing what you know with the BELA community. Thanks so much.
Absolutely, Bill. My pleasure. And to all those BELA members out there, keep the questions coming, okay?
I'm Bill Coffin, and this has been a special BELA Asks episode of the Ethicast. For more episodes, please visit the Ethisphere YouTube channel at youtube.com/ethisphere. And if this is your first time enjoying the show, please make sure to like and subscribe either on YouTube or on our podcasting platforms at Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon Music. To learn more about BELA, please visit bela.ethisphere.com to request guest access to the BELA Member Resource Hub and to speak with the BELA Engagement Director. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, remember, strong ethics is good business. Ethics doesn't just happen. You need to put in the time. So make sure to register for the 15th Annual Global Ethics Summit, a live and virtual event in Atlanta, Georgia from April 22nd through the 24th. Save $200 by using the code ETHICAST at registration. To learn more, visit attendges.com.